And welcome inside the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less Weekly Coaches Podcast with the head coach of the College of Charleston, Doug Wojcik. It's brought to you, as always, by GEICO, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Make sure you give them a call, 1-800-947-AUTO, or you can check them out online, geico.com. And with that, we welcome you down to the court here inside TD Arena alongside the coach, Doug Wojcik. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for tuning in this week. A lot to talk about, Coach. Let's get right to it and start with the game against UNC Wilmington. What a game. And let's just start with the obvious. Norrie Johnson again last night, 6 of 7 from three-point range. He was absolutely on fire. Great shot of you on the sidelines during the TV broadcast. We went to you after I think Norrie had hit 5 straight. And you were looking at him saying, man, what are you doing? Really? You're on fire. That was a great moment.
Well, he actually was 6 for 6 in that first half, which is incredible. But, he had good looks. They weren't bad shots. Felt good about it. He has to take them just like Willis has to take those shots as well. So anytime those guys can make those shots, it makes life easier for us. We scored the ball pretty well. Much more alert defensively against Wilmington. And, give them credit. They'd lost 9 in a row, and that's not easy for them. Those kids are working just as hard as everybody else. That coaching staff's working just as hard as everybody else. And they fought to the end, and we found a way to win the game and get back on the winning track. And when you're in conference play, no game's going to be an easy game. And for us, every game's a new game, just because personnel. We knew Cedric Williams was a good player. He's a really good player after playing against him. So, great win, great job by Norrie, and overall, real pleased to move on from obviously a tough loss against Towson on Sunday.
Real quick more about Norrie before we get to the rest of the team. You and I talk about this, and you talk to the team all the time about the journey. A lot of fans don't get to see the inner day in and day out of the journey of the basketball team, and what a great season it's been for Norrie. Not playing a whole lot in that first semester and rising to the challenge against the Citadel. Really has played well, struggled against Towson, but comes back out, and of course we saw what he did last night. He started back-to-back games. He's just the continuing journey of Norrie has been really fun to watch this year.
Yeah, a couple of things with that. You're right. Really proud as this coach to be sitting next to him in the press conference last night.
Yeah.
I got Anthony Thomas to my left, I got Norrie to my right, and there's just it's just we've broken bread, Norrie. Norrie trusts me. He hangs in there. He starts his first game on Sunday and scores 0 points. Tough for us to win, but comes back and gets ties a career high 23. The other thing I'd say about that, the journey, the other night on TV, Jay Williams on ESPN's talking about the journey, the gut check, what you have to go through, and what he's talking about, it's got to come from the players. It really does. We set the tone to some degree, but he's talking about it's got to come from the players, and I think that, our guys really met the challenge. We had a different challenge against UNC Wilmington versus Towson. Hey, we didn't play well, our backs to the wall. Our guys responded in a different way. So give those guys credit, give Norrie credit, and, it's a player-coach relationship, what you really, what you want when you coach.
Great to see Norrie develop like that here in his senior year. And again, a good win for the guys last night, a 5-point victory. Obviously, outside of Norrie, things didn't go exactly as planned. You and I were just talking about this before we came on the air. The turnovers, obviously, something that hurt you guys last night.
Yeah, we had 10 in the first half. We go the first 12 minutes of the first half. Great. We have 2. One's the first play of the game when Ajayi doesn't catch the ball on the right block here. After that, I think they were trying to get, instead of a point per minute, we were trying to get in a turnover per minute. We had 8 turnovers in the last 8 minutes of the first half. Yeah. Still run into the halftime with a 7-point lead. So, we just got to do a better job. We ended up having 16 for the game. We shared the ball well. We had 12 assists. It would have been great to be 12 and 10 again. 12 assists, 10 turnovers, but it just didn't work that way. Persevered. We'll learn from it. We'll watch a little tape today about it and move on towards James Madison.
Some of the other stats from last night's game, obviously Willis Hall, another good game last night, 12 points, 7 rebounds. Ajayi Brew last night, 8 points. Anthony Thomas, 5 of 6 from the field. He had 11 points. But Theo Johnson, you and I talked about this in the post-game show on the radio broadcast last night. Theo plays 14 minutes, 3 points, got a couple of rebounds. Had a great driving bucket, actually this basket right here with his left hand. I thought at moments it really seems like Theo's really starting to come around for you.
Yeah, he really gave us energy. Really kind of, boy, it would have brought the house down if he had converted that dunk in transition. Yeah. But really had a lot of energy for us defensively. I thought David Wishon and he really kind of played really good minutes for us. David's post defense, even after watching the tape, better than I even thought. In the end, Ajayi ends up with statistics. He does, and he always does. Just want Ajayi to start games better. But what's really good is he plays 23 minutes. We win, and we rest his knee a little bit. He's not playing 33 minutes or 37 minutes. Joe Cheely's not playing 25 minutes last night, plays 13 minutes. That's good for his knee as well. Willis plays well, 1 for 5 from 3. If he busts a couple of those threes, which were really good looks, he had some really good looks. If he makes 3 of 5 or 2 of 5, I think he's feeling even better about himself. And then Anthony Stitt, plays such a great floor game at Northeastern. Struggled a little bit against Towson and even struggled a little bit last night, but he was not too happy with himself, but we'll get him there. We'll try to move him on. I think one thing our guys need to do is you got to move on, because the consequences really at the moment aren't as big as the consequences if you lose the game. At least you can get in that locker room and smile and, hey, we won the game, and that's what matters most, and you learn from it.
Yeah, the guys obviously very fired up last night after the win, 75-70 over UNC Wilmington. Also this week, a game against Towson. How about Towson? Really good team. You guys lose that one in the second half. Jarrell Benjamin is just a stud of a player.
He did, and it's just kind of funny. Last night he scored 6 points against Northeastern.
I know.
Every game's a different game. Yep. I mean, they lose at home. They were undefeated at home to Northeastern, who people would go, well, they're not very good. Their record's not very good. And I've said they're a much better team than their record. So it shows anyone can beat anyone at any time. Towson's a good team. I thought Mike Burrell played such a good game against us and really kind of was the difference against us. And we'll kind of game plan against them for the next game. But the conference race tightened up. Basically 2 through 9 last night. Delaware has separated themselves, being 5-0 and undefeated. But the last place team in the preseason poll by the media, again the media,
it's always our fault,
is in second place. That's Hofstra. They had a nice win. I thought they would beat William & Mary last night, and they did.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. We've already seen them. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll go through the standings. We'll talk more about the league and talk about, again, to remind everybody, with the College of Charleston, first time through the league. It is the first time we're seeing everybody, and really second time through. It'll be interesting to see how much we learn after facing all of these teams for the first time.
Or not learn.
Or not learn, right. No, we'll learn. All right, we'll take a timeout. Back with more with the coach right after this.
GEICO says, let's make life simpler.
Look, I'm all for modern conveniences. But ask yourself, do you really need a blender with 23 buttons just to chop an onion? At GEICO, we think life should be simpler. So we make it super simple to save on car insurance. Just one click and you could be on your way to saving hundreds. Come on, people. Life doesn't have to be that complicated.
GEICO. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back inside TD Arena as we continue on our GEICO 15 minutes or less podcast with the head coach Doug Wojcik. Last week I think we went a little bit over, so this week we're going to try and go under 15 minutes. We'll see if we can do it. All right, we talked about the win over UNC Wilmington, 75-70. The guys now 3-2 in conference play. And speaking of the CAA, here are the latest standings. As we were just talking about before we went to break, Delaware has separated themselves now at 5-0. Then Towson at 3-1. They lost last night for the first time. Hofstra also at 3-1. Then CFC right there in fourth place, just a game out of second at 3-2. Then Northeastern at 3-3. William & Mary at 500. Drexel at 2-3. Hard to believe. Drexel, one of those preseason favorites, but a lot of injuries. James Madison 1-4, and then UNC Wilmington 0-6. So let's look at the updated standings. And Coach, real quick, as we take a look at the CAA, a little bit different setup for postseason. You and I were talking about this off camera. In the SoCon, when we were in the Southern Conference for all those years, it was so important to be in the top 2 seeds because you got to bye. Well, now with just 9 teams, really the formula is kind of an 8-9 elimination kind of play-in game between the 8 and 9 seeds, and everybody else is pretty much even in that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty even. You just don't want to be in that 8-9 game because you got to turn around. You play Thursday night, you play at noon on Friday against the number 1 seed. Kind of a tough. That's tough sledding. But I like conferences that don't have divisions. The Southern Conference had a division. People would claim a North, a division title. I'm not sure exactly what the heck that means.
Right, yeah.
We were the 3 seed last year in the Southern Conference. We beat Elon at Elon. and we only played one time, and they're the 2 seed, we're the 3 seed. That kind of drove me crazy. We beat them in the tournament and showed that we were a better team. So I like the way it is. I like the standings. I mean, it's everyone's playing each other twice. It's pretty much fair, and there'll be a true champion regular season. But the one team that's going to go is the team that wins the tournament. And obviously you have an NIT opportunity if the regular season champion, fails in the conference tournament. So Hofstra, I said, going to Hofstra, I said the team that wins at Hofstra has the best chance to win the league.
Got a big road trip coming up for the guys against James Madison and William and Mary on the road. I know you don't like to talk about yourself and your staff too much because it's a lot about the players, but what is the challenge as a coaching staff moving up into a new league and seeing all these guys for the first time, and how much do you learn after going through the first time? We haven't even seen everybody one time yet.
Yeah, like right now, if you ask me a ton of questions about Delaware and Drexel, I couldn't really tell you because I've concentrated on everybody else. But I think you figure out individual matchups, what's best for your team, who does what. You do how big somebody truly is in person, how quick they are truly in person versus what you see in tape.
So different on tape.
So different on tape. I mean, we're in the Boston hotel together, and we're watching Northeastern. And just so different on tape. So I think those are some of the things, and like a lot of people are sitting here going, well, I know you're really preparing for the game, Guys, our kids are in school right now. It's not like I have the guys 8 hours a day and we're just drilling them on what's going to happen on Saturday afternoon. I mean, a lot of it at this point is rest and feeling good and doing a few things, but you can only do so much. And then, of course, we're going to get on a bus tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and really not practice until Friday night, and then we turn around and play at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. So, there is a lot of prep, but there's not a lot of prep. I mean, if you're not a team that's fundamentally sound and you're not good defensively now, you're not going to be good defensively 2 weeks from now. Right. It's you either have it or you don't. In my opinion, drilled well, paying attention to detail, boxing out, all those things. We are pretty well drilled. We can make adjustments. We do hang our hat defensively. But after that, there's not time for that. You can't instill that. You can throw some junk defense out there and hope it works. But for the most part, Nori Johnson's making threes from 30 feet. What are you going to do? So or in their case, what are you going to do there? They're playing 2-3 zone to start the game. So, for the most part, you got to, watch some tape, rest, and really hopefully stay healthy. Health is such a big issue at this stage of the season.
Coach, let's switch gears a little bit, running out of time here, but want to get your thoughts on the development of Glenn Pierre. I've had some people ask me, will he see much playing time this year? So Glenn and also Terrence O'Donohue and Jonathan Burroughs-Cook, how do you feel their journey and their growth has gone?
Well, let's start with Jonathan. I mean, I feel really good about having started him. And he only played like 3 or 4 minutes in those starts, but he's got some starts under his belt. If Nori, maybe if Nori doesn't play well this second start, maybe he's best coming off the bench, but Nori showed that he deserves to start. He's a good defender. But Jonathan's come along. He's had some moments, no worries there. Glenn has really practiced well. I'm a little disappointed, and I think our fans can understand it. A little upset at the guys that we turn it over like we did. Instead of winning by 5 last night down the stretch, we're not up 12-15 when we could have been. And now Glenn's playing. Now Terrence is playing. But the ultimate thing is, to the 3,000 that came, we got to win the game. So I'm not going to experiment with Glenn trying to win the game. But he's practiced well. He's doing great. He's going to be a good player. He's, come out and been a sponge in practice, and I could say the same things about Terrence. But the truth be told, Jai only plays 23 minutes last night. David Wishon only plays 18. That's just half the game for both those guys, and Willis is always going to play big minutes just because he's a fifth-year senior and he's most experienced. He stretches the defense. He makes free throws down the stretch. He's the best guy taking the ball out in a tight game against the press. You get it in, you get it right back to him, they foul him, I want him at the free throw line. Those are the reasons those 3 guys play. Glenn and Terrence will be there. Their process is just a little bit slower. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem in college basketball right now, a lot of kids are never patient.
They want to play as freshmen because they see so many others.
And
probably.
some kids are willing to go, I'm going to go play at a Division II school and give up what I have here. Now, I think fortunately we have a great crowd. We had pom-poms on the seats last night. We had a good student section after a tough loss on Sunday. We got a great environment in a great city. Why would you leave? But everybody's different. And my whole thing is getting older, getting stronger, and retaining. Retention is huge in college basketball. If we can retain kids and they're patient, hey, good things will happen to them, just like good things are happening to Nori Johnson right now.
Coach, got to wrap things up. The next stretch here on the schedule, 4 of 5 on the road. I joked with you on the radio broadcast in the postgame last night. I said normally you'd look at that 4 of 5 on the road and say, wow, tough schedule coming up. We play pretty well on the road, so it should be a good trip here.
And we're really excited about the road trip.
Who says that? All right, we got to wrap things up. Thanks for your time as always. We'll talk to you next week. That's Doug Wojcik, head coach for the Cougars. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next week here on cofcsports.com.